Hi there. My name is Anand and I'm the founder of this platform called mentorscapital.com. We completely believe in the power of mentorship and believe that it can help solve most of the problems that you as a study abroad aspirant might face. Well, in today's video, I'm going to talk about how to land a job after your master's program abroad and give you some key tips in order to make that process easier for you. Tip number one is fairly obvious. Make sure that you do your research about visa rules, deadlines, the application checklist, and even the costs involved in the process. And you do this irrespective of which country you go to. There are I'm going to talk about a few countries very, very quickly. Number one, what about the US? Well, US offers an optional practical training, which is a minimum of 12 months of employment. It could be full-time or part-time work, but and this can be extended for 24 months in case your course was comes under a STEM classification, which is science, technology, engineering, and management. Remember to apply in time, because for OPT, you need to apply, up to 90 days before the finish of your program, and not later than 60 days. So basically, you have a 5-month window around your program, completion. 3 months before the program completes, up to 2 months after the program completes, you can apply for an OPT. So get started for this as early as you can. In the UK, the story is different. You can apply for a work visa, which is valid for about 2 years if you've done a master's program, and 3 years if you've done a PhD program. In fact, work permits are also available if you've completed a postgraduate diploma or a certificate course. The only requirement is that your course of study should be at least a year long, right? So even if it's a diploma course, make sure that it is of 1 year duration in the UK. What about Canada? What about Australia? Well, in Canada, you get a post-graduation work permit as long as the university or college you study with is a designated learning institution. Even if it is so, I think rules are very, very fluid. So make sure that you check out the visa rules at your designated institution. There is a long list available online if you just do a quick Google search. And remember that the postgraduate work permit is offered 2-year duration, 3-year duration if your course is indeed of 2-year duration. But in case your program is between 8 to 23 months, then you get a work visa, a work permit for as long as your course was. So if you did an 11-month course, you'll get a work permit for about 11 months. And remember again to check out the rules in the particular location that you're in, the particular institute that you study in, because I hear that as early as 2023 September, there will be a few changes, especially in the Quebec region of Canada. So make sure that you are prepared for that. Well, Australia continues to be a very, very favored destination if you're an international student, even especially an Indian student at that. You get a temporary work visa, which allows you to stay in Australia for up to 3 years if you've completed a master's, or up to 4 years if you've completed a doctoral program. While TOEFL and IELTS is a must to prove English proficiency, you need to apply within 6 months of your completion of a course, and your course should be from an institute that is registered on the CRICOS network. Right now, the CRICOS is the Commonwealth Register on institutions and courses for overseas students. So make sure that you check out that resource. And what about Europe? Well, I've taken a few countries as sample, right? Netherlands allows you to stay for 12 months on a residency permit. It allows you to search for jobs, and you need to obviously apply before you complete your master's. France allows you to stay up to 2 years, but only allows you to work for 20 hours a week for that duration. So essentially, it's the idea is to allow you to stay, find a job, and then convince your employer to sponsor your work visa. Ditto for Switzerland, allows you to stay only for 6 months, but and even then it allows you to only work part-time for about 15 hours a week, right? So the overarching rule is that find an employer who's ready and willing to sponsor your visa. That's the motive of the work permit. Down to brass tacks, what helps you find a job? Tip number 2, besides research on visa rules, you also need to do your research on, what helps me get a job, right? And this includes obviously updating your CV regularly, keeping a resume handy, customizing it based on the role that you're seeking. Make sure that remember that there are no job placements like in India. There are no campus placements, which means that you need to contact employers early and network with them and create that favorable impression and spread your net as far and wide as you possibly can, right? So this includes speaking to advisors in your college, contacting the overseas student associations, even speaking to alumni who've had their jobs sponsored by employers in the past, right? So all of those tips can help. Make sure that you start practicing, interviews, and plan for different scenarios in your interview, so that the few interviews that you do get, you're able to crack in the first or second attempt at that. Tip number 3, cast a net that is wide. I think this goes without saying. I would suggest that within the first 6 months of your program, you need to have, featured in all the possible mailing lists about jobs, about career fairs. Consider volunteering for a few free organizations in your spare time, even for free, because sometimes the effort that you put in can really pay dividends in terms of getting you that job interview. I did say speak to your alumni, especially those international students who've gotten a company to sponsor their visas, because the challenge here is to know which companies are favorable to sponsoring visa, because obviously that sits on top of your preferred pile of companies, right? Start networking early and do your basics. Tip number 4, and this one is a fairly obvious one: make sure that you work on your profile, right? Now, it's not just about preparing a CV, it's also about highlighting the right things on your CV. And this could include skills that are needed in the particular role and the particular sector that you will find employment in. But at the same time, highlight skills from back in India that could be transferable to the new role, right? And this could include, leadership traits like, initiatives that you took, events that you organized, new initiatives that you instituted, or even conferences or events that you coordinated, right, that you organized. Anything which involves a degree of leadership is indeed a transferable skill. So make sure that you highlight those, and customize your CV. Don't present one standardized CV to every company. Make sure that you customize it for every company. This applies even in India, actually. And finally, I think, again, something that applies to jobs, irrespective of India abroad, is to present the right attitude. Most times we forget that employers are looking not for, a robot who can get jobs done, but also gives you the right attitude and somebody who's going to be a good fit into their teams. So showing eagerness, showing energy, showing vitality, showing the willingness to learn are traits that you need to, showcase to prospective employers at every stage. When you apply, write an email, call them up, meet them for coffee. At every stage, make sure that you present an attitude that is pleasing, that is assertive, that is confident. Yeah. Well, I think those are the tips from my end. I'm going to quickly also tell you about Mentors Capital, right? We believe in the power of mentorship, and through our wide network of mentors, we can help you at every stage of your study abroad journey, which means as early as starting, to start shortlist colleges and locations, to preparing for, standardized tests like GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, or even the SAT. Creating impactful applications in terms of essays, in terms of letters of recommendations, crafting a story that will leave a favorable impression on the university admissions team. And finally, also preparing you for online assessments and personal interviews, and how to leave the right impression and attitude, like I said before, which is very, very critical to acing any admission journey. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you. Wish you all the best for the future.